I would now like to invite Johanna de Boer to our virtual stage. A graduate of the geography program at York, Johanna is the CEO and founder of HINGE Consulting Group, as you heard earlier. She is highly acknowledged for her contributions as an executive in managing large enterprise-wide programs for a variety of high-profile clients, most notably in financial risk regulation and compliance. She is a former coach and university professor, and she has worked in executive education, where she spent the last 25 years teaching and developing courses and programs for organizations. She brings a wide range of experience and expertise to help organizations traverse their unique challenges as they bridge between static and dynamic challenges, as well as educational alignment. In recent years, Johanna has become more engaged with the startup ecosystem space, both in an advisory capacity as a data and AI subject matter expert, and in building educational centers of excellence. She's a growth coach and mentor for several organizations. Johanna is also a mentor for women students through our faculty's Advancing Women program, and we are so grateful for her support. Thank you for joining us, Johanna.
Thank you, Maggie. That's a mouthful. My goodness.
Well, you've done a lot. We could say more.
Well, yeah, but when you say it that way, it just seems too much.
I know. I feel tired just reading it. So I don't know how you live that life. In any event, okay. So we do have some questions that we've met with Johanna to go over. Hopefully, this is information that will be really useful, helpful, enlightening, eye-opening to students, alumni, everyone on the grid. And so I'm just going to begin, though, with a bit of context, which I think is always nice. Johanna, if you could, I'd like you to tell us a little bit about your career journey since graduating from York.
Yeah, certainly. So as Maggie had indicated, I graduated way back in 1994, for those that are getting out their calculators and calculating just how old I am. But I studied geography when I was at York. I went on to do some postgraduate work. And why this is important is when I was doing some postgraduate studies actually at Sheridan College, most notably that I was actually asked to do a work placement, and that work placement led me into policing. And that is where I got my first foothold into artificial intelligence, because way back when, at that time, we didn't call it artificial intelligence. We called it advanced analytics. And that's where I got my start. But it was because of my work at the police force that Visa Fraud Intelligence scouted me out and asked me to do Visa fraud intelligence for them for the next 4 years. So I got that domain experience, which then led me to get involved into project management. I first became a business analyst, a senior BA, project manager, project or portfolio manager. I then went on to consult within the banks for many years. At the same time, that's when I started to get back into my teaching and started teaching post-secondary in the evenings on the weekends. Then went on many years later. Once I had my consulting practice much established, I went back into teaching and developing courses for McMaster University in artificial intelligence and big data. And then I've just finished developing some other programs for Trent University as well. So it's always these meandering things that take you here and there. But in the middle of that, it's not only just risk finance that I was consulting in and doing the project work. I also did forensic analysis for KPMG. And then for Price Waterhouse, I managed their forensic facility and so for data analytics. So my background has been wide and varied. And these days, I'm getting called for a lot of AI and big data strategy work. And again, those are large companies in the nuclear space, in the educational space, regulatory finance space, now gold mining. It's been wide and varied. So it's been a you look at it and you think, wow, that's been 25, 30 years, something crazy like that. But it's been a lot of fun. And there have been a lot of doors that I've gone through, which I'm so grateful for.
And I think, just to follow up on that, I was really struck when you and I were chatting earlier, I was really struck by this idea of being open to possibilities, right? Like, I mean, in the programs portfolio, everything is program this, program that, major, minor, discipline. And it's all about choices, making choices. But this openness, all the doors that are open in front of you, I think is really speaks to like how nimble you have been, with being open to possibilities, which is important, I think, right?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I think there's so many doors. Sometimes we just don't recognize them as doors. We don't see the possibility, or we're afraid to go through those doors or even to make a step. A lot of times when I talk to people, even when I'm mentoring companies in the startup space, I'm like, no, I'm afraid. I'm really afraid to even try. And I always say it's just a single step forward. If you make the wrong step, okay, then you know what? You learn from it. Maybe you come back from it, you take the step backwards or you go lateral, you do something else. It's the same way in your career, right?
Yeah.
But opening yourself up to that possibility that there are those capabilities and that there is that potential to be something more and something greater. That's what's propelled my career. That's why I've done the things that I've done, and I don't think I would have ever have done those things. But I think it's a mindset as well. You have to just think of the possibilities. Almost with wins. I hesitate to say this, but it's a manifestation.
Mhm, mhm.
You have to see the doors for what they are.
Yeah, yeah. I think I find that so helpful and really positive, right? Like, is it just
Very much so.
yeah, keeps potentials open. Okay, well, I'm gonna go back to disciplines though, and ask you
Yeah, of
something a little bit
course.
more, yes, discipline specific. And this is the question: where, Johanna, do you think the field of information technology is headed? And there's a second part. For those entering the broader space, what are some key trends that would be helpful to know? So where's infotech headed? What are some key trends that would be
Mhm.
helpful to know?
Well, where I'm seeing a lot of work and why I'm getting called, of course, is because of this whole AI craze. Again, like I mentioned, way back when we didn't call it AI, but it existed. So when I meet people, it's, oh, we have this new thing called AI. I'm like, no, really, it existed like a long time ago. You just didn't know it was there, and we didn't call it that. Certainly, AI is completely out there. We're seeing a lot of work in the generative AI space. So that's one of the big things. Another big push that I want to draw people towards, and where I see a lot of work coming in these days. And believe me, I have my schedule full of talking to companies today, as in the space of innovation. So there's a lot of new companies, a lot of great possibilities coming out in that innovation space too. And then the third area where I see a lot of work coming in and a lot of movement, at least in IT, is in the governance. So really in the trust and tech space. And so that's another key area that people are coming to me, at least. I know I'm having a lot of discussions around this because I wouldn't say there's a lot of uncertainties, but there's a lot of hesitation surrounding that. Remember that everything is in a way fledgling. It's new. It's still new. Almost like when you get into a new car, you can still smell the newness smell. It's that kind of work. So we're still trying to bundle it all up together, trying to figure it out, and trying to put some fundamentals and put some foundation in so that we can build on top of it in the decades to come. But those are the three areas where I see a lot of growth right now.
Okay, and I'm just, I'm thinking of those three areas and I'm thinking that would keep a person very busy if they had, like interest in those areas. They'd be, yeah,
Well,
working
very
on.
much so, very much so. A lot of my career as well, I think about legacy systems and new systems. A lot of my work has been about joining the two.
Hmm.
It's the old and the new. It's the
Yeah,
business and technology. It's been all about bridging the gap. What people know versus what people don't know. It's one of those things because for our graduates, people are here on the call here today, they may think that they know something, and possibly they very much do, but then they'll meet someone in the workplace that has never experienced it before, or might think, in the case of AI, where it's just a black box kind of concept, and they're, no, I don't understand that. I don't understand numbers, math, whatever it might be, and they've already discounted it in their head. So it's really about bridging that gap and helping us propel it forward.
yeah, I love that. And then that, that does require that kind of openness again, right? Like to
Yeah,
see the cross pollination. Yeah. Okay, well, here's my last question because I
sure.
only have a couple more minutes with you. And it's this: what do you think a student should be doing right now to prepare for a career beyond their current degree? What can they be doing to prep?
Beyond the current degree, I
Yeah,
would
so
suggest, yeah, getting in front of people that maybe that in your social circles or their parents, whoever might be close enough to you that you can find out what they do. If you've heard maybe that they're in the tech space, be really interested in what they're doing. So get involved in your networks, really promote your networks. When I was your age, I didn't network. I have to say that wasn't necessarily my first thought. That really didn't come to me until I was in my 30s, and I was like, oh yeah, no, I know I have those, and I know how to talk, so I think I can do this.
Yeah.
The network is really, really important and really crucial, because these days, if you were to go to any kind of job site, you're going into a black hole. So the network is really, really critical to what you're doing. The other thing you can also do is you can get involved in networking events. And networking fairs too. So if you get into, let's say, a consulting shop or anything like that, they do have events, networking events, where you can actually go and learn about those companies and see other people that are in that space. So give it
Yeah.
an opportunity. Sometimes they do cost money, might be a nominal fee, but the network that you gain as an example on the back end will be worth its weight in gold.
Yeah, it's so true. I love that tip because and sometimes, like we have to sort of, if you're an introvert, or you're not, or you're just having a quiet day, it can be hard to push yourself. But I sometimes say to myself, okay, like let's meet one person, one student, let's take the name away, let's learn what brings them joy. Like, not that I have to
Very
meet
much
everybody
so.
in the room, but just make a connection somewhere. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, wow. We could keep on going. When we did the prep for this, we were just like talking and talking. So I feel like we need another 2.5 hours, Johanna, but I won't do that to you. Instead, I'm going to thank you for sharing those great insights.